It is your boy Kevin Yee, the Farm D. What is going on? If you guys don't know, I'm actually live streaming all the way almost every single day until March 31st. Depending if you guys really like this type of thing, if you guys want me to do more of these, please let me know about the topics that you want me to talk about. But every single day, I've been really taking some time to kind of research different topics as well. And I found this really interesting post on Reddit. So I'll be covering that about different measures to enact, what different board of pharmacies are currently doing right now. Ohio Board of Pharmacy just had some really great stuff. I'm going to be talking about some of the books. I'm going to be reading 5 particular books that I'll be focusing on this week. And really talking about how to recession-proof yourself going forward. I think those are 3 things that I want to talk about. At least those are the 3 things that came up to mind because a lot of people have been asking sort of that as well. And I'll give you guys a sneak peek of what I'm working on too, in terms of helping people get out of this recession type of thing as well. And so I know there's thank you for the likes, by the way. If you can smash that like button just so that this gets out to the universe, that'd be great. But on to the content, I guess, right? So if you guys don't know, Reddit has been going crazy in the pharmacy world. There's a lot of people who are really kind of going through some PTS. I remember reading one post about this person going through PTSD with the whole pharmacy as well. But I also saw some really great posts too. One of the posts, let me share it right now. Just give me 1 second. Is this post? What the fuck? Okay. The hell? Why is this showing? Looks like it has 2 screens. Hold on. Let me fix this really quick. Hold on for a second. I don't know why my browser is not okay. Now I think it's fixed. Perfect. For some reason it was showing multiple browsers and stuff. Didn't want you to see some of my notes that I'm gonna actually created for this in a future video. But basically I read this really great post by Vulgaris25 18 hours ago. Basically I totally agree with Vulgaris. Right now there's a lack of leadership from the corporate side of pharmacy. If you guys don't know, corporate pharmacy is kind of doing some really weird actions, right? Telling people to vaccinate patients, all that sort of stuff, when their pharmacies are literally falling apart, where they don't have protective measures for a lot of pharmacists or PPE, right? So they don't have gloves, all that sort of stuff, masks, all that. So there's been kind of a lack of leadership. And basically, this person took the time to kind of create some safety measures. There are like a few safety measures which I will kind of go through, but let's kind of take a look at this current post that this person created, right? They're saying, okay, I started brainstorming ideas based off the CDC recommendations for healthcare facilities and adjusting them to the pharmacy setting. I'm sure there's some things that I missed and probably some of my ideas should be adjusted, but here is a starting point to start enacting and demanding from higher ups. Yes, it'll be expensive. Yes, it'll be time consuming, and it might, gasp, even scare patients. Great. But we are in the middle of a deadly pandemic. So it's time for some of the profits that we make for these companies to be used in our benefit, not only for our own safety, but patient safety as well. And I definitely 100% agree with this as well. Just because our primary focus should actually be on protecting our healthcare professionals. Now, why do I say that versus the patients and whatnot? Because it's in our best interest to protect our healthcare professionals because they are the ones that are protecting our patients at the end of the day. If we do not protect our healthcare professionals, especially pharmacists or pharmacy staff, technicians, and all that, anybody who interacts with our patients, guess what? We are potentially spreading it to them and infecting them as well. So that's really something that's important. But let's take a look at some of these pharmacy safety measures that this person outlined earlier. All right. And I'm not sure, by the way, can somebody drop a comment, make sure that the comment section is working? I'm not sure because I'm not seeing any comments on my side. But anyways, pharmacy safety measures, limiting number of staff interaction with patients, staff check temperature at beginning of day and end of day, PPE, face mask, gloves, goggles, eye protection, and adjusted on level exposure. Example, drive-through with barrier wouldn't be needed as much with PPE as a drive-through with open window, drive-through only. This is something that my friend RX Comedy was actually talking about as well, doing drive-through only or curbside drop-off as well. That's something that my friend RX Comedy dropped. We got Jayhawk. Thank you for Jayhawk for dropping that comment. Now I know that it works, but really making sure that okay, so if no drive-through, limit exposure with patients with barriers, glass or plastic. You'll see on Reddit too. There's a lot of posts where people are putting these vinyl screens, requesting them from store managers to put them in the stores, right? I just joined the stream, by the way. So cool, man. Great to have you in here tuned in. Let's see. Temperature taken of every patient / customer before they enter the building. Yes, even the grocery stores. Large signs at every entrance in the parking lot for persons to stay in the car. If they're exhibiting symptoms or positive for COVID-19, call pharmacy and designated worker will come to the car with PPE. If patient counseling is needed, have pharmacists call patient's house from work station to avoid exposure. I agree with that. By the way, out of all these ones, the one that I think that would probably be the hardest to really do is this one. The temperature of taking everybody's temperature as they come in and whatnot. Really at the end of the day, I think the most practical out of I think the drive-through only is a good idea, curbside type of drop off. We shouldn't really be it's just like I'm just thinking about logistical issues too, man. So there's that. Card only and no cash. If using drive-through, disinfect card before handling and disinfect again before handing back. If still using walk-in, patient uses machine for transaction, then machine is wiped down with disinfectant. Disinfecting common areas every 30-60 minutes. Any surface touched by patient needs to be disinfected before and after every patient. Triage people in a line, drive-through or walk-in to ease time constraints. Designate a worker and necessary PPE based on predicted exposure. Name a date of birth, blah, blah, blah. Hand washing every 36 minutes. All chronic meds need to be switched to 90-day supply and delivered via mail order. Might be a fight for insurance, but guess what? Insurance is really honestly, we probably should we should be doing 90-day supply anyways for most maintenance medications, just because it lessens the amount of patients coming back and forth, man. And I think, tell the insurance, fuck it, like take the bite, switch to 90 days because this is a pandemic that we're going through. So yes, great. One other thing that I really like about this article too, and I'll read the comments in a second. I'm seeing it pop up on my end. But one of the really good things I really like about this as well is that they talk about staff benefits too, because sometimes we forget a lot of our staff, they have families to go to, right? We need to really make sure that we take care of them. They have families and people, they're at risk of infecting people at home too. I think that's important. And it's not fair to our healthcare professionals who, these major corporations, and I'm all for capitalism, guys. I'm all for capitalism, but it's not fair to our healthcare professionals to kind of use and abuse them and then send them back on their home. And if they get sick or anything happens, then you're on your own. That's not the way to take care of our healthcare professionals. It's really fucked up. And I wish, I haven't been doing any research about the major chains, but it just really bums me out that, seeing so many worried pharmacists about their health and stuff. I was actually doing a YouTube article. Let me move this up. But I was actually doing a YouTube article planning out. And you'll see one of the things I wrote is priorities protecting our healthcare professionals to protect our patients. But somebody wrote this, right? Pharmacists here, we are told fear is not an excuse. And if we're too scared to work, we need to quit. That is so fucked up. Is that taking care of our freaking healthcare professionals? Are any positive outcomes going to come out of this? I don't fucking think so. By the way, if you guys agree, join the thumbs up gang, bro. So that's we shouldn't have our pharmacists fucking scared. We should really make sure that we're doing our best to limit patient the exposure to our healthcare professionals, and really installing these systems in place to protect them. It's too late for PPE. We should have prepared years and years ago, but there are systems that we can put in place to really limit the exposure. There's a few my own suggestions, but I'm just covering this person as well. Let's take a look at the comments real quick and see who's in the stream. Dude, I am so scared about coronavirus. How's the atmosphere in California? Honestly, haven't really been too proactive about going outside and stuff. Not because of the whole corona thing, but honestly, I've just been really busy doing my own businesses. Really, there's just been, if you guys have been a part of my newsletter, I actually wrote about how, I'm so blessed to really have a remote income. And I really want to help other people kind of create their own remote income service-based businesses too. But I'll talk a little bit more about that and kind of show you the rough draft I'm working on right now. Okay. So Seton says, hey, what's going on, Seton? Why do you fear it? AZ says, I know 3 people on ventilator, all in their 20s and 30s. Just finished my shift, says Jayhawk. And Jayhawk, share your experience, right? If you're open for it, I would love for you to share what's happened on the front lines. Do you agree with a lot of these points that this Reddit user kind of posted? Would love to kind of hear from what you think. But just finished my shift. Protecting staff seems based on practicalities, not ultimate safety. Okay. And Armor Ghost says, AZ, were these perfectly healthy people, no pre-existing conditions, perfectly healthy. Jayhawk says, I wish I had a camper. I just camp outside rather than stay in my home. Holy shit, bro. Jayhawk, do you have any kids, family, or anything like that? Would love to kind of hear about that as well. Are you concerned for the people around you that you live with, or if you live with anyone? Armor Ghost says, I haven't heard that the virus has been that deadly toward younger people. It's mostly toward older people who are dying from it, not just any old people either, ones who are already had pre-existing health issues. Do you know any grants or scholarships that pay for pharmacy school and you work in do you know of any grants or scholarships that pay for pharmacy school and you work in an underprivileged area with a lower income, can't finish school because of financial needs? Well, I actually don't, but I think we're kind of detracting. I think we got a bigger issue here than just getting paid for pharmacy school, man. We're going through a national pandemic, man. Children in particular seem highly safe from the virus. That's what they said on Joe Rogan's podcast. It may not be deadly to younger people, but it's the fact that you can spread it so easily. AZ is also saying Ghost in Korea and US, it's affecting people under 40 more than older people. Armored makes the point of spreading the cold and flu easily. Let me kind of skip over some of these skip forward for some of these things. Okay, let me go back to kind of the post. But like I said earlier, one of the things I really like about this article was that we're talking about staff benefits, right? Because we got to protect our people. We got to protect our healthcare professionals by any means. So extended paid sick leave guaranteed, hazard pay. So many pharmacy staff are immunocompromised / high risk. I would definitely assume that they're high risk, right? And no doubt they have family who are immunocompromised / high risk, especially being Asian and all, like a lot of the culturally, like we have to take care of our older, and a lot of families actually house their parents, who are a lot older too. And so I think that's really important to kind of keep in mind as well, right? Reduce hours to ease staffing demands. I mean, not gonna lie, Jayhawk, you tell me, man. If you're still on the stream, how has it been like fulfillment wise? Has it been that crazy where it's been like killing, like where you feel like you're getting burnt out? What's the average increase in scripts, all that sort of stuff? I'm kind of curious, man. Pay childcare. With all schools closing, workers now have children at home with no care. Guaranteed job on return if worker has serious reason, personal health, family to suspend employment. So that is that's kind of like, those were some really great suggestions. Really, at the end of the day, we have to trust that our healthcare professionals are doing their job and they have the best intentions for our patients, which a lot of us do. We have to, the system, like a lot of the corporate really has to kind of really refocus their perception or priorities right now, because based off what everybody was saying on Reddit and from what my friends are personally telling me too, is that they're just really cutting hours, stressing the staff more during this pandemic. We're going through a pandemic right now, and our healthcare workers need our support, right? And by making their lives hell, that's not gonna make them stick around. Keep in mind, it might not be, because a lot of pharmacists, yes, are in debt and all that. If they get pushed past a certain point, or if they feel like they're at imminent death, they're gonna fucking quit. And then who's gonna run your pharmacy, right? At the end of the day. So I think these are all legit points as well. So that's it. In terms of additions to kind of like that, in terms of additions to kind of like those recommendations, I would really kind of add to that about like e-prescribing and stuff, having more emphasis on e-prescribing. Corporate should really be helping us kind of sending awareness type of things to prescribers. I don't know, through email, flyers, I don't know, right? But really making sure that we're not bombarding the pharmacy with phone calls, that we can do more e-prescribing or faxes or whatever. Obviously C2s and all that you can't do, but like everything else, like Z-Packs, all that sort of stuff, that's important. Also, we're starting to see what's interesting that's happening right now is that you're starting to see a question of appropriate use for things like Plaquenil, right? You're seeing people just like kind of hoarding medications, which fucks over the patients who have disease states like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, all that sort of stuff, right? Is really messed up, right? You're starting to see like even prescribers start hoarding things like Z-Packs, like azithromycin and all that sort of stuff. And I remember reading on the Reddit forum that somebody said that HIV medications are to go next, right? And so what was really, really interesting was, let me look it up really quick, was that somebody said kudos to Ohio State Board, which was really funny because state boards rarely ever get any recognition at all. They're usually looked at as the bad guys and stuff like that within pharmacy. Hold on for a second. I think it's adjusting. There we go. Cool. So basically, was this one? Or maybe it was Rhode Island or something like that. Basically, there was a... Damn, what the fuck? Hold on for a second. I don't know why my screen is like so messed up. Basically, they were... hold on, let me lower this. Sorry, guys, having some tech... There we go. Perfect. While this is loading, actually, was this the actual article? Basically, what's happening is boards are starting to be a lot more strict with sort of the prescribing out there as well. And you're reading you're reading a lot of stories about other state boards doing the same thing. Like I said, doctors calling 6 Z-Packs for themselves and stuff like that. and they're trying to give it to their families, hoarding medications, which is not cool. And you're starting to see a lot more requirements. Maybe it was the Rhode Island board. I can't remember actually. But let's go to comments. I think we had our boy Jayhawk kind of comment below. Just give me a second. All right. Script count up 30% district wide. Special situations requiring extra time are through the roof, though. Kevin, on Ramp TV says, I thought this was a Q&A. Why skip your question? Because honestly, it's not really the focus of this stream. We can do a Q&A later, like a full Q&A, but I wouldn't know. I haven't been in school for a while, man. Kevin, can you go more in depth how to make remotely besides getting a job? It seems like a lot of people use your knowledge at this time in particular. Yeah, man, that would be okay. I can definitely talk about that as well. I can probably pull that up in a second. Anyways, Kevin Moore says, hey Doc, what's your opinion on the med side of the situation? Sorry if you answered this earlier, but I'm making you repeat this stuff. Well, about the med situation, what we're starting to see is inappropriate prescribing for a lot of these medications. So I believe somebody earlier said HIV. Oh shit. Control F. HIV. Shit. Let me take a look. So we're starting to see HIV medications. Next to follow Plaquenil. We're starting to see overprescribing or a lot of prescriptions for things like ProAir because of the respiratory things. But you know what's really interesting is that, like, a lot of time, these people, doctors, a lot of time we're seeing these prescriptions that aren't necessarily like they're inappropriate use, right? So patients don't actually need this. They're just kind of hoarding a lot of medications. And we have to start questioning like the appropriate use for this, because there's only so many medications. We cannot account. Basically, hoarders, just like toilet paper, they're just driving up the prices of medications. And guess what? These manufacturers, they can't keep up with the demand of the medications as well. So that is something really something to consider during panic times as well, right? And so like, you know, I'm not sure how corporate is really kind of supporting our pharmacists in terms of pushback, but I'm sure there's a lot of back and forth between prescribers, and prescribers need to really take a step back too and really push back on the patients too. At the end of the day, it's the patient, it's not the patients that went to school. They rely on our expertise, on our knowledge, they're not the ones with the licenses. We need to be controlling the medications as well, and just really making sure they're going to the right people who actually really need them, if that makes sense at all. So that's kind of like the medication stuff in terms of what's happening right now. Now, somebody asked me about creating. Somebody was asking, talking about, can you go in depth about how to make money remotely besides getting a job? And I think you'll see, like I've been saying all this week, you're going to start seeing a bigger trend going toward more remote type of work, toward more online work. And so two of these topics I will be covering this week, I've been doing a little bit more research on it, are remote jobs in pharmacy, and also remote jobs outside of pharmacy. And I'm starting to be a lot more pro, like there's a lot, like people just have to realize that we don't have to, if you're a pharmacist, you don't have to stay within pharmacy, even though, you know, it might feel like you've wasted your career, but there's a lot of soft skills that we learn in pharmacy. And I've actually been working on this kind of like guide. If you guys want to take a look, I'll show you guys. So the ultimate guide to your first side hustle. So I have a little note here about like why it's important to kind of start like start a side hustle, a remote side hustle. And this is draft one, by the way, it's not completed, but basically why is it important? Well, it lets you do a few things. It lets you kind of reinvest your money into any sort of debt or any other businesses as well. You can put your down payment on your dream home. Even though I'm kind of anti buying a home, that's something that I've that's something that I prefer to stay more, have more options and stay more liquid. It can allow you to quit your job, do what you love, work for yourself, and just live it up and have spontaneous fun when we're not on lockdown. But basically, at the end of the day, something like a side hustle, I believe is really important because it just buys you a lot more options, opens a lot more doors for you as well. And so there was kind of like this whole guide, right? I basically created, I think 12 different 12 different questions about how to select your perfect side hustle. I'm actually creating a top 10 list too about my favorite side hustles that are pretty easy that everybody can essentially do, right? And so, one, does your idea need startup capital? I truly believe most side hustles or a remote business, you don't always need a significant amount of startup capital because guess what? You're probably really, really new to business, right? You need to build those soft skills, build business acumen, get your experience, get your reps in. There's really no rush to starting a business. Second thing, the number one business I believe that people should start off with is a service-based hustle, right? I've tried going down the whole, like back in the day, I tried going down the whole course route and stuff like that. But, you know, in terms of service-based hustles, they're really great because it's a faster way for you to make money. And plus, you don't need to, like, if you guys work pharmacy or anything like that, then you know how much of a pain in the ass it is to kind of manage inventory. No one likes that, right? And so I basically go through these kind of like 12 steps of creating the perfect hustle and stuff like that. I will let you guys know as soon as I kind of finish this guide up, and you guys can read it as well. So we'll do that. Let's go back to comments really quick, see if there's anything else new. By the way, I did want to shout out one person. So I was actually watching Ramit Sethi's if you guys don't know, I'm a huge fan of Ramit, and he was talking about 5 books that he was recommending. And I actually bought all 5 of those books. And I also wanted to talk about, since we have a lot of kind of like a lot of extra time, I guess, like a lot more time indoors. I wanted to share about the 5 books I'm like really focusing on this week as well. So have those that. Oh, Kevin, I have a great podcast episode recommendation for you. Are you interested? Yeah, send it to me via email or DM, bro. But just want to share 5 books that I'm going to be reading this week. And I'll tell you why I'm reading them. Some of these books I've read in the past, but never really delved into it. And so one of the books I'm reading right now is this book called Cashvertising. It's a really great copywriting book recommended by, I first found out about it by this affiliate marketer. His name's Malin Darris. He blew up when he was one of the first people that talked about the Marie Kondo method on YouTube, and his video went viral. I love listening to his content because he just has such a relaxing voice. And so this book is really interesting, especially the Life Force 8, where he talks about the 8 needs. So I'm going to be reading this book, really brush up on my copywriting. It's been a while since I've actually written any sort of copy, right? Also reading this book called The One Thing. A really great book. You'll hear it talked a lot about, but really the reason why I'm reading this is because there's a lot of things that are coming up on my table. Like, people have pitched me a lot of different opportunities, and sometimes I just have a lot of trouble kind of filtering out what's good, what's bad, what to double down on, what not to, what to ignore, because there's a million things you could do at the end of the day, and it's really about how do I find what works for me, what makes me happy, right? And so really boiling everything down to this one thing and seeing how other people make that decision as well. So I've actually had this book since way back in the pharmacy, and I read a bit of it. I used to take notes on it, but I kind of stopped halfway. I want to complete the rest of that. Reading this great book This was also on Ramit's website as well. It's called The Trusted Advisor. Really interesting book, especially in service-based businesses, which is what I do mostly right now. You need to be able to build rapport with people. You need to work in people's best interests. You need to provide a killer experience for people. How do you do that? And it's not through just selling them a one-off type of thing. It's really taking them through an experience and building long-term relationships where they're going to buy from you over and over again. So really love it. It's a really great consulting book, by the way, too. Really love it. I'm going to be taking up this book. It's called Shooting a Video That Doesn't Suck. I've been trying to figure out easier ways to kind of, build up my production quality in my videos. Because I am starting to shoot again. I am scripting out some videos too, just for some major points, and trying to get a really cool look. Because if you take a look at the YouTube landscape these days, there's a lot better production quality than there was 5 years ago. And I feel like I definitely need to catch up. And not to say that I need a videographer or anything like that, but I just need to learn my camera a little bit better. And I haven't really ever taken the time to really do that. So rather than just shoot on auto all the time, I would love to kind of delve into better video and learning and maybe selling off some of my older camera gear like my T5i and all that, and really investing into something like a GH5 or even go down the Sony route. Finally, the last book, it's the thickest book of all. It's the Bible of business. It's called Principles by Ray Dalio. I actually had the first edition where it was a PDF and talks about both life and business principles as well. And I think one of the things that's really important too is to, like I've learned over the last year, is modeling after people's success as well. And so those are some of the kind of books that I've been reading recently as well. So yeah. All right. AZ actually posted something. It's a Jocko cast, probably his longest, but Jocko podcast, 221 Johnny Kim, Navy SEAL, Dr. Astronaut. Wow, he actually got a hold of that guy. That's crazy, bro. So yeah, dude, I will check that out, AZ, and we'll just go from there. But that's pretty much it this week. I know people are staying indoors. That was kind of the topics that I wanted to cover today, at least, and just really go from there. As always, if you guys have other topics or you want me to cover a topic in detail, maybe it's finding your first client or anything like that, I can shoot a personal video about it. But that's pretty much it on the table. If you guys don't have any other questions, also cool thing, I've been building out kind of like a website recently of all the kick-ass products that I've been really like. It's not only courses and stuff, like books, courses, even cool people that I've been following recently. And I'm gonna have a website dedicated toward that, so people can just go purchase them and then go on their merry way, bro. Kevin AZ says thanks Kevin, more live streams. My pleasure, bro. How are you? Sutton asks me, how are you staying active with the gyms closed down? I actually haven't been super active. I have a walking treadmill, but been wanting to go hiking. I've been wanting to do like pull-ups and stuff, but I just haven't really spent the time. Luckily my weight hasn't really shot up that much. I probably gained like 1 or 2 pounds this week. But that's pretty much it. I haven't been the most active this week, but try to stay active. And I've been trying to stick to some yoga routines as well. So just to not lose everything. But I really, really, really miss the gym a lot. I mean, the gym held my life together, honestly, right? So, and looking forward to that remote work Canva. Yeah. Oh, by the way, one last thing. I am thinking about doing some sort of book club. I was really inspired by Ramit's podcast, and I might do a book club. I don't know how to run a book club, but I want to do a book club where we can discuss like books and how to apply them to our businesses. And I probably will take a select few people to beta test one of my courses as well, that I'm building, about how to build a service-based business and recession proof yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, people, if you focus on the core 8, people are always going to be spending money. I was listening to Noah Kagan's podcast, well, his video earlier. If you don't know who Noah Kagan is, he's the owner of all the sumo products, so App Sumo, all that. But he's saying that people are still spending money on foods. People are still spending money on their cell phone bill. People are still selling money or spending their money on internet. You just need to figure out where are people now spending their money based off the economy and whatnot. So that's something just really that's kind of been on my mind recently as well. So all right guys, we'll just go from there. I will be streaming tomorrow at about 3 p.m. I haven't really figured out a topic that I want to talk about tomorrow, but I'll try and make it interesting. Probably copy one of Ramit's topics and put a spin on myself. But really going from there. All right, guys. I will talk to you guys later. Have a great rest of your night. Take care. Peace, mother people. Bye.